Don't get your feelings hurt. Read this.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Payman's Void for another episode of Short Film Roundup.
Short Film Roundup.
Short Film Roundup.
Yes, the very same. The show where three cursed filmmakers, namely Kenny,
D,
and Taylor. I'm Taylor.
Did you just do a ventriloquist thing?
Yeah,
Throw your voice?
I heard it too,
That was
but
crazy.
let's just ignore it.
It scares me.
Where we analyze, take apart, and put back together user-submitted short films to see what we can learn from them.
Yes, sir.
So we can all become better filmmakers.
If you are watching this video on YouTube, guess what? We also have a Facebook group that has the same video on it. And it's better to watch it on the
way more
Facebook.
interaction.
Way more interaction.
Yes, there's a cool comment thread. We do a whole bunch of other things there. You ought to go check out Film Alchemists.
Yes. Link is in the description in YouTube.
Where film making magic meets pseudoscience.
Or if
We
you're
drink
already
mercury there.
if you're already in the Facebook group, then you're already watching the video. So
Yep, the only thing more magical than celluloid is mercury
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And
in your brain.
and gold.
In your
Liquid
brain.
gold.
Today we have a film
Submitted to us,
by
Tim.
Cox.
Timothy J. Cox.
Yes,
We'll cut that in the proper order. Yeah.
Tim.
J.
Cox.
Today's film is called Simple Mind by Phil Newsom.
Link in the description if you haven't seen it already. We do announce our week of films on our Facebook group, so be sure to go once again over to the Facebook group to know what we're going to be reviewing next. But there is a link down in the description to go watch this movie if you haven't already. So be sure to do that.
You gotta watch it because we're gonna talk about it now. And if you haven't watched it, and you won't understand anything we're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Not sure if I understand what you're saying now.
No.
Let me say it again. If you gotta watch the movie before
Kenny, what do you think of this film?
All right.
What can we learn from this film?
Simple Mind.
Let's talk about this with our fellow film alchemists.
All right. There's a couple things that come to my simple mind when I watch this. First is I feel like this film was meant to be a setup and twist style short film, right? We have there's some very common archetype formats for short films.
Yeah.
One is the setup followed with twist, or we have the comic version of the same where you have setup followed by punchline. They actually run a very similar way.
Mm-hmm.
But this one didn't work, really. It didn't have the desired impact where you went, what? He's in a wheelchair. He didn't murder those people, right? Which is what you wanted.
Yeah.
And so, which begs the question, what went wrong here?
Yeah.
And if we as filmmakers are trying to do the same, what can we learn from this so we do it right? What do you think?
This is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
We began to differentiate between a twist and a reveal.
Yeah. I felt like the biggest takeaway for me was the age-old classic why, and that comes down to specifically to shot choice. I feel like when you're making a movie and you're choosing your shots, you want to be you want to ask why you're choosing this shot, and if the answer to that question you're asking, does that support the intention you set out from the beginning? Is that true to your idea? And here I felt like a lot of them were pretty true to the idea, but some of the times we would wander around in some of these close-up shots here. We'd be wandering up at Tim's eye level here, and then we wander down to his mouth later on, and it's just kind of all over the place. And I don't know if to me, that's not really saying he's crazy. More is it saying he's it seems unfocused, I guess. And not in the character's unfocused way, but as in the filmmaker is unfocused.
You think he's just doing this just to
be crazy.
Just to be crazy.
Just to be weird.
Yeah. You know what was interesting? The film, I made a film quite a while back called Genesis, where I did the same kind of camera movement, where my last shot was this guy who was about to get blown up, and the camera was a close up on his face, and he was knocked out, but he was coming to at the same time, and so he was coming up, and then I started getting the camera ready, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do this kind of twisty kind of thing going on, and it did. I mean, it was there. I did it, but there was absolutely no point to it, right? You watch it later, and you're just like, oh, okay, why? And like you said, it just doesn't answer any purpose. There's just no purpose for it. I think the biggest takeaway from this film is like you said, the twist, right?
Yeah.
The twist. Why didn't it work? I really want to dig into that. Why it doesn't. I think it did work, but I guess it depends on what you mean by the word work.
Okay, so we talked about how a twist reconceptualizes all the movie that came before it.
Okay, wait. So re-explain that.
So the idea being that, like in The Sixth Sense, one of the most famous twists of all time. Spoilers.
Jeez.
Jeez, man. Sorry, if a movie's 20 years old,
It's
then
30 years old.
then we don't hold our punches. Anyway,
No, it's 21 years old.
it's something like that. Wow. Anyway, in that film, the information that Bruce Willis's character is dead reconceptualizes everything that came before. It gives it the whole rest of the movie new meaning that you didn't anticipate while you were watching it.
Yeah.
Which is why your mind feels blown. It's because you came down a path, and now you look back and realize it was an entirely different path than you thought it was.
Right.
Right? Like you thought you walked down Main Street, you actually were coming down Fifth.
What? Oh, Fifth?
Yeah.
Fifth in Maine?
Yeah,
Jeez.
you're on Fifth instead.
Jeez.
And I think while this did change the context of the movie, the reveal that he has schizophrenia and is in a wheelchair, we didn't have enough of a convincing story that we were on any other kind of path. If anything, the cinematography suggested that he was very unstable and crazy, and that we shouldn't necessarily trust his words anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we have this reveal, it's like, oh, well, like, he's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's not that surprising.
It's more like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the film was clearly trying to hide things from us the whole time. You know, when the first time he's murdering somebody, we just see the feet of the woman through the door, which suggests they don't want us to see something, right? So I'm already not trusting his story. But if we had like this grueling scene of him cutting a person up, you know, blood squirting in his face, and, you know, give us enough evidence to go with him onto this other path so that when the path is ripped out from underneath us, we're actually disoriented. When the twist came, it wasn't disorienting because we hadn't gone too far in any other direction.
That's interesting. I'm not convinced completely that that's the reason why it didn't work. I'm not sure why. I want to say it's because, you know, the whole twist of it was all a dream, and that's the thing that everyone hates.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this is.
The reason why I think
it was all a crazy.
The reason why I think those twists are so stupid is because when you say something, it was all a dream, you're saying that none of the things that we watched, like none of the building blocks, none of anything that we watched had anything to do with what we reveal at the end.
Right.
And I think if we were to have some sort of evidence that this guy was actually killing girls, like if we actually saw him sawing and stuff like that, and then we came through at the end and say, oh, you're just crazy, I felt like it would have been that kind of dream thing. It would have been, well, we were just watching false information.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That's why I kind of feel like it's not it is a twist, but it feels like maybe this is a scene of a larger movie, right? Where it's like this could work if it would had an extra, 15 minutes that did something with the revelation.
That did something with it. That's
not as a conclusion.
That's what makes me get lost in this, is because
I got an idea. I think maybe the trees got in the way of the forest here, or vice versa, in that really the story is about how this guy with schizophrenia, like the one thing that he holds on to that like he's truly proud of in his life that gives him meaning is the fact that he's good at murdering people. And the truth is that he's never murdered a person. So that's the story. And that could be a very interesting story. But that's barely glazed on because we ended up focusing more on he's murdering. No, he isn't.
Yeah, well, because I don't think
the inside psychological thing that's going on with him is fascinating.
It's because it's not a character piece, right? This one,
right? Well, I think that's what was missing.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. I think that was missing. That would give us context. That would give us like a reason for the twist to happen. You're absolutely right. I think that's a really good piece of advice there.
We need
we need it to matter.
Yeah, that's right. So if we had been able to sort of sink our claws into a real character, and begin to build some empathy, sick and twisted empathy, with the fact that his whole meaning in life comes from the fact that he has this one thing he's good at, and it's murdering people.
Right.
And then we pull that away, then you can have some weight, and it's like, oh, that sucks.
Right. Yeah, at this moment right now, it does feel more like the dream thing, where it's just like, oh, well, he's in a wheelchair, so guess none of that was real.
Yeah.
And you don't care.
Yeah.
He's an undeveloped character.
Right.
We need to develop characters.
Right.
Lesson learned.
All right, well, thanks for
Develop
watching.
characters. Boom.
How many times?
How many times?
How many times have we said this?
Is this the conclusion
Yeah.
that we all end up coming to? It's like, well, what we have here are undeveloped characters.
Are there? Let's think of, because this is a problem that pervades. Is that the right word?
It is a pervasive problem.
Yes, it's across all
in shorts especially.
Yes, all kinds of short films. Most short films have the that formula of being a big setup to a twist, because it's one of the easiest things to do in a small arc. I want to say one of the best ones that I've seen was what was that one with the mannequins? So I'm going to link this film in the Facebook group.
That was a pretty cool short film.
Yeah, I forgot what it was called exactly, but watch the film. Do not watch this part. In fact, skip to this time right here. Boop. If you don't want to hit the spoilers, because this will spoil everything. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that film with the mannequins and everything, it had a twist that the whole film was a big setup for the twist. But we cared about it, and I think it's because we built this empathetic thread with the guy.
Yeah.
Right? That he feels like he's being cheated out of time, right?
Yes.
Like he's flying down the highway.
You identify with his frustration.
Yeah. And he's seeing things, and it's confusing, and he keeps saying things that are confusing over and over and over, and then that just builds it up until suddenly it's reversed.
Stanley Wong's Hand Fart does the same thing.
Yeah, it does.
Except it's a twist and a punchline, or a setup and a punchline, as opposed to a twist. It is sort of a twist in its way.
Is, yeah.
It's a joke, and but I mean, like, again, spoilers for Hand Fart, if you haven't seen it. But you know, if we had just made a movie where a guy showed up at a hospital and said, "Oh, I can't stop hand farting," and then he does it and he explodes, and then everyone goes, "Oh my gosh, he exploded!" Like, that might have been interesting the one time seeing it.
Yeah.
But it's not genuinely a funny movie or memorable.
Right.
Right? The reason why Hand Fart is memorable is because we developed Stanley Wong's character.
Right.
You're like with him in questioning, is everyone around me crazy?
Right.
And when he starts to consider, should I do this? You're kind of like, yeah, you should do it.
You're like, yeah, dude.
You should do it.
They are crazy.
I would do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. It is building that empathy. And it doesn't take that much.
Character development, empathy.
It doesn't take that much to do that. All you need is
Sympathy.
Empathy.
not sympathy. Get out of here with your sympathy.
Yeah. I don't want your simp story.
Sympathy.
Get empathic.
All you got to do for empathy is show what the character is feeling, and that's it. That's really all you got to do.
Yep, we just said Mark Battle's film The Guard a
Yes.
few weeks ago.
That had incredible
Perfectly
empathy.
developed the character with like these non-dialogue scenes
Yeah.
where they just showed him like getting ready for work, and he's like looking at himself in the mirror,
Right.
and it just it made you completely put yourself into his shoes.
Yeah, yeah, just like just the everyday thing that he's doing, or even like being surprised when he's surprised, you
Right.
know,
Yes.
being
So
focused when he's focused.
The thing with character development, the thing with building empathy with characters is it gives weight and stakes to everything that happens after
Right.
that.
Exactly. Yeah. Taylor agrees.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Can we talk about sound?
It's bad.
Sound?
Oh,
It's bad.
it was consistent.
Consistently bad.
You want to talk
consistently
about
bad.
You want to talk about this real quick from the last film that we talked about?
Yeah, we just talked about this yesterday. We had a
Yesterday.
movie. Oh,
2 days
2 days ago.
a few. Yeah, whatever. Our last episode,
The Watchers.
The Watchers, had audio that was all over the place. Sometimes it was okay, sometimes it was horrible, and it was very, very inconsistent and jarring every time.
Yeah, every
the
time it
audio
changed, you mean,
changed.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though the audio here in this film isn't good, it's at least consistent. So it's not so jarring on
Yes.
every cut or changing scenes.
See, it
and
would have
stuff like
been
that.
frustrating if you had decided to ADR the therapist, but not ADR Tim's character.
Yeah,
here.
and then
Right.
not mix it correctly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been very frustrating. As it is, it was still very
It's still
frustrating.
bad, you know,
because it was hard to understand what he was saying.
Like you didn't understand most of what they were saying.
No, I have a problem with like not understanding things that I just can't hear correctly, and I literally did not understand 90% of what they said.
Yeah.
And this movie relied a lot on spoken exposition.
Yeah.
So
I heard a lot of noise reduction.
There
on
was
the
some
audio,
of that in there, yeah.
and that's always a nasty sound.
Yeah. Those artifacts are pretty bad.
Yeah.
yeah. So if your movie is going to rely heavily on a dialogue, if the exposition is going to be primarily spoken,
Yeah.
then your sound quality is of utmost important,
Right.
more important than your video quality.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of this was narration, you know. Not a lot of it needs to be synced.
That's true.
I want to say there was something that I did one time when I didn't, because I didn't have a microphone like this before when I was making old YouTube videos back in the day when I was doing like vlog stuff.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I did was I took my camera and recorded my voice only inside of a closet. Like I went into a closet and spoke into clothes so that my voice didn't bounce around everywhere. Put the camera there and faced it towards me and just took the audio, just stripped the audio. And it works that way. It's at least clean. You know,
Yeah.
it's not, it's certainly not good, but it's clean. You know, don't want to have those nasty artifacts.
Yeah. It wouldn't be like super distracting to listen to.
Right. Here's hoping anyway.
Yup. Get yourself a microphone.
Microphone.
Go down the road to get a microphone.
So,
Things.
Learned.
what?
Did. Is it time for questions?
I don't have anything else to say about the
Let's
movie, really.
let's go to
just
questions.
for it.
What is it? What is this?
This is the part of the show where we are going to direct some questions directly to the filmmaker, and we invite you to add your questions to the conversation. Maybe you picked up on something that we missed. Our filmmakers usually respond with big old lengthy comments answering all of our questions, and they'll respond to yours too. So be a part of the conversation.
Do it in the Facebook group because then other people can talk with you and stuff.
Yeah, it's better doing the Facebook group. If you're still over here on YouTube, that's okay, but it's all about Film Alchemist.
It is.
Join
Join Film
us.
Alchemist. We have a
Join us.
we have a link in the description. Click on it.
Film Alchemist.
Let's do it.
Arr.
What's our questions, Taylor?
Questions.
First question. Is this an older film of yours, and have you made anything? It seems like it was made a while ago, just from the quality of the camera.
Quality actually looks freaking great.
Come on.
It does.
Yeah, I guess it does look all
It
right.
does look really good.
It feels old to me.
I think it's the lighting. It's old light.
I don't know.
It's very
It's
old
super
light.
high res.
It's standard def
It's 8mm.
and old. It's definitely old. It's definitely, I mean,
This was made
15,
in
20
like
years
the
old.
40s.
This is like, this is like
Silent film.
This is a
silent
kinetoscope.
film era. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
It's a camera
kinography.
obscura.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, the camera obscura.
zoetrope.
Yeah, that's
you
what
made
this
it as
is.
a zoetrope
That's what I was looking
movie.
for.
Okay, so I guess regardless of that, what
Would
are
you
you
like
up
to
to
try
these
again?
days?
Yeah, let's do that again.
Just start over.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
No. When you said this film looks old,
Oh,
Just start over.
this film looks old. Oh shit. How old is this film? I'm curious to know that. And have you got anything else that you've made since making this film?
Okie doke.
was that the end of the sentence?
I don't got
yeah.
questions.
All right.
I don't got
yeah.
questions today.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. We've developed our own dialect here in the
All right.
void. We've been here so long that we have our own Creole.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, my questions are one, what's going on in the opening scene with running man Timothy J. Cox and the heart beating? Is this part of your head fake that, look, he's not in a wheelchair? Is he running from his murder that never happened? Explain yourself. My
Explain yourself.
Explain yourself. My second question is, are you satisfied with how the twist/reveal turned out at the end? And my third question is, what is the ultimate emotional response you hope to get from people in with this piece? D.
I very much like twists. I'm so much of that kind of person. I love writing twists like crazy. And I see in this film that you've written, it reminds me a lot of what I've liked to do.
It's a very Devon Keys style movie.
Sure. But I mean, I want to know why you like twists, I guess, because it seems like you do, but I want to know why you wanted to tell this one. I guess that's really it. I wanted to point out something else, but I don't remember.
What?
What was your biggest challenge that you faced in making this film?
And when Tim is running towards the camera in the opening scene, a woman goes calmly walking by him in the other direction. Is that intentional? Or did she just happen to be there?
It's left in, so it's intentional.
It's intentional now. Ah. Well, Phil, thank you for sharing your movie with us. And if you are a filmmaker, you too can share your movie with Short Film Roundup.
Thank you, Tim, for sharing Phil's.
That's a good point. Tim, thank you for sending us Phil's movie. Phil, if you were against this from the beginning, you probably should blame Tim. It's Tim's idea.
Fantastic.
You too can submit a film to Short Film Roundup.
Yes, what you said. There's a Google form link in the description, both on Facebook and YouTube.
Click that link, fill out the form, send us the movie, and then we will do to your movie what we just did to this movie.
Yes.
Yeah, annihilate it.
The nice,
what we
gentle, with the gentle
I mean,
hand. We'll give
yeah.
you the white glove treatment. Psh.
Bye, guys.
Adios.
ADOs.
ADR.
ADR.
Bye, guys. ADR.
Gaff tape.
And action.